What most people misunderstand about empaths who don't post their photos on social media is they assume it means insecurity, low confidence, or lack of relevance. They think if someone is quiet online, they must be invisible in real life. But psychology often reveals the opposite. Sometimes the people who show the least are carrying the deepest sense of self. An empath experiences the world differently. They do not just notice faces, comments, and reactions. They feel energy, motives, emotional tension, hidden competition, silent judgment. What looks harmless to others can feel mentally loud to them. A simple photo post is not always just a photo. It can become a doorway to comparison, attention-seeking, envy, validation games, and emotional noise. Many empaths sense that instinctively, so they step back. They are not avoiding attention because they have nothing to offer. They are avoiding unnecessary exposure because they understand the cost of it. They know that once you place yourself in a public room, everyone enters with their own psychology. Some admire you, some compare themselves to you, some project insecurity onto you, some watch silently with resentment, some praise you publicly and compete with you privately. Empaths feel these dynamics faster than most people do. That is why many empaths choose privacy over performance. They would rather protect their inner peace than feed a temporary algorithm. They would rather be fully present in a real moment than interrupt it to prove it happened. While others ask, "How can I be seen?" the empath often asks, "Why do I need to be seen by strangers?" There is also strength in not constantly displaying yourself. In a culture addicted to visibility, restraint becomes power. When someone does not need applause, they become harder to manipulate. When someone does not chase likes, they become harder to control. When someone values reality more than image, they develop a kind of emotional freedom many people never reach. This does not mean every empath rejects social media. It means many of them use it differently. They may share ideas, support others, create value, or stay connected. But they often feel no urgency to turn themselves into content. Their identity is something they live, not something they market. And this is where most people get it wrong. Silence online is not always emptiness. Sometimes it is discipline. Sometimes it is healing. Sometimes it is wisdom. Sometimes the person posting the least has the strongest relationship with themselves, because the deepest people often protect what the loudest people constantly display. Many people think social media is neutral. They think it is just entertainment, connection, and harmless sharing. But for an empath, it often feels very different. What others scroll through casually, an empath can feel deeply. What others dismiss in seconds, an empath may absorb without even realizing it. An empath does not only see pictures, they sense the emotion behind them. They notice the loneliness hidden inside attention-seeking. They notice the insecurity disguised as confidence. They notice the silent competition behind perfect captions. They notice the sadness behind forced smiles. While most people react to content, empaths often react to energy. That changes everything. When an empath thinks about posting a photo, they are not only thinking, "Do I look good?" They may unconsciously think, "What reactions will this create? Intentions will people bring? What emotions am I inviting into my space?" Even if they cannot explain it logically, they feel that posting can open a door to many energies they do not want to carry. Some people post and forget about it. An empath may post and then feel the weight of being watched. They may sense judgment from people who never comment. They may feel comparison from people who quietly compete. They may notice fake support from those who praise publicly but resent privately. Because they are emotionally sensitive, these things do not always bounce off them easily. This is why what looks simple to others can feel mentally exhausting to them. It is not that they hate sharing. It is that they often value peace more than attention. They know a calm private moment can feel richer than a public moment filled with reactions. They know that not every memory needs an audience. They know that protecting energy is sometimes more valuable than collecting likes. Empaths also understand something many people ignore: repeated exposure can drain identity. If you constantly look outward for reactions, you slowly disconnect from how you actually feel inwardly. The empath senses this danger. They know that once life becomes performance, authenticity starts fading, so they step back. They may still enjoy social media, they may still support others, share ideas, or stay connected. But when it comes to posting themselves, many become selective. They ask whether something feels genuine, necessary, or aligned. If it does not, they would rather keep it private than feed a moment of shallow attention. And there is wisdom in that choice. Because in a world where everyone is trying to be seen, the empath remembers that being seen by everyone is not the same as being understood. They would rather be deeply known by a few than endlessly viewed by many. What drains others slowly can drain an empath instantly, so they learn to protect their peace before the world asks for access. Many people assume everyone wants validation. They believe every person is secretly waiting to be noticed, praised, and approved. They think confidence comes from applause and worth comes from attention. But many empaths live by a different psychology. They learn early that external praise can feel good for a moment, but it cannot build a stable identity. An empath often spends much of life understanding other people's emotions. They notice moods, tension, disappointment, hidden pain, and silent needs. Because of this sensitivity, they quickly learn how unstable human reactions can be. One day people celebrate you. The next day they ignore you. One moment they admire you. Another moment they compare themselves to you and pull away. An empath sees how inconsistent public approval really is. So they begin to ask a deeper question. If people's opinions change so easily, why should my worth depend on them? This is where many empaths separate from the crowd, while others chase recognition. The empath starts building something quieter and stronger. They build self-worth through alignment, through honesty, through treating people well, through knowing they stayed true to themselves when no one was watching, through inner peace instead of outer applause. That kind of confidence looks different. It is not loud. It does not need to announce itself. It does not constantly ask, did they like me? It asks, did I respect myself? That question changes a person's entire life. Because when self-worth is internal, rejection loses power, silence from others loses power, delayed replies lose power, lack of attention loses power. You stop interpreting every outside reaction as a statement about your value. You realize many people respond based on their own wounds, moods, distractions, and insecurities. It is rarely about you as much as you think. Empaths often understand this deeply. They know that if they hand their self-esteem to the world will handle it. Carelessly, so they keep ownership of it. They may appreciate kindness, enjoy support, and feel gratitude when recognized, but they do not depend on it to feel whole. This is why some empaths seem detached from social media approval, status games, or public image. It is not because they are cold or disconnected. It is because they know attention can become addictive. Once you rely on it, you begin performing for it. You shape yourself around reactions. You become easier to control because anyone who can give approval can also take it away. The empath resists the trap. They would rather be quietly fulfilled than publicly celebrated and privately empty. They would rather have a clear conscience than a polished image. They would rather be real than admired for something false. And make no mistake, this path requires strength. It is easy to seek validation when everyone else is doing it. It takes maturity to stand still when the crowd is chasing noise. It takes discipline to value your own voice when the world is shouting opinions. When an empath stops needing constant approval, they become emotionally dangerous to anything built on manipulation. Because the person who knows their worth cannot be bought by praise or broken by neglect. Many people think privacy means weakness. They assume that if someone keeps parts of their life hidden, they must be insecure, ashamed, or afraid. But psychology often shows the opposite. For many empaths, privacy is not fear, it is protection. An empath usually feels more than what is spoken. They sense jealousy before it is admitted. They notice resentment behind compliments. They feel tension in rooms where everyone else says everything is fine. They often recognize emotional motives long before people openly reveal them. Because of this sensitivity, they learn that not everyone who has access to you comes with good intentions. That lesson changes how they move through life. While others freely share every success, every relationship, every location, every personal moment, the empath becomes careful. They understand that visibility invites energy. Some people celebrate you sincerely. Some study you quietly. Some compare themselves to you. Some become irritated by your happiness because it reminds them of what they lack. Some act supportive while internally hoping you fail. Empaths often feel these reactions deeply, even when nothing is said. This is why many of them choose boundaries instead of exposure. They know that just because something is real does not mean it must be public. Just because something is meaningful does not mean it must be displayed. Just because people ask for access does not mean they deserve it. Privacy allows the empath to enjoy life without carrying the weight of everyone else's opinions. When they keep a relationship private, it can grow without interference. When they keep goals private, progress happens without pressure. When they keep healing private, recovery happens without performance. They understand that some things weaken when exposed too early, energy gets scattered, focus gets broken. Outside voices start shaping something that needed silence to become strong. There is another reason privacy matters to empaths. They know emotional intrusion is real. Sometimes people do not physically enter your life, but they mentally enter it through curiosity, gossip, envy, and constant observation. The empath senses how draining this can become. They know that too many eyes on your life can create unnecessary heaviness, so they close certain doors. Not because they hate people, not because they think they are better than anyone, but because peace requires limits. Access must be earned, presence must be respected, trust must be proven. Many people only learn boundaries after being hurt repeatedly. Empaths often learn boundaries because they can feel danger before damage arrives. They notice subtle disrespect. They sense when someone wants information more than connection. They recognize when interest is rooted in comparison, not care. That awareness saves them. And in a world where oversharing is rewarded, restraint becomes rare strength. Anyone can reveal everything. Not everyone can protect what matters. Anyone can seek attention. Not everyone can preserve their energy. Anyone can open the gate. Not everyone knows when to keep it closed. The empath understands that what is sacred grows better in silence than under constant observation. Privacy is not hiding, it is choosing what deserves protection, and the person who protects their inner world cannot be easily invaded by the outer one. Many people believe a moment is not complete until it is posted. They think an experience only becomes valuable once it is seen, liked, and acknowledged by others. A dinner must be photographed. A trip must be documented. A celebration must be shared instantly. But many empaths move through life differently. They often understand that the more you try to capture a moment, the more likely you are to miss it. An empath tends to feel depth in ordinary things. They notice the emotion in a conversation, the atmosphere in a room, the meaning in silence, the warmth in a genuine smile. Because of this, they are naturally drawn to presence. They do not always need proof that something happened. Feeling it fully is proof enough. While others may experience life through a screen, the empath often wants direct contact with reality. They want to hear the laughter without interrupting it for a photo. They want to watch the sunset instead of adjusting angles. They want to sit with someone they love and actually be there, not mentally preparing content for strangers. They understand that attention is a form of energy, and wherever attention goes, experience changes. The moment you begin asking, "How will this look?" you stop asking, "How does this feel?" That shift matters more than people realize. Many people slowly train themselves to perform life instead of living it. They become half present in their own experiences because part of them is always imagining an audience. They eat while posting, travel while recording, celebrate while monitoring reactions. Even happiness becomes filtered through visibility. Empaths often feel the emptiness in that pattern. They sense when a beautiful moment becomes thinner because it is being used for display. They sense when connection becomes content. They sense when joy becomes strategy. And because they feel this so clearly, they often choose another path. They keep some moments unshared because those moments feel richer that way. A private laugh between two people can carry more meaning than a public post seen by thousands. A quiet walk can heal more than a dramatic announcement. A memory held in the heart can sometimes be more powerful than a memory stored in a gallery. This does not mean empaths reject photos or technology. It means they usually care more about the experience than the presentation of the experience. If they share something, it is often because it felt meaningful, not because they needed attention. That difference is psychological freedom. When you stop turning every moment into a performance, pressure disappears. You no longer need to impress. You no longer need to prove enjoyment. You no longer need witnesses for your happiness. You become available to life again, Empaths know that some of the best experiences lose their magic when divided between reality and performance. They know intimacy grows in spaces untouched by public eyes. They know peace often arrives when the phone is down and the mind is fully present. In a world obsessed with recording everything, the empath remembers a forgotten truth. The deepest moments are often the ones no one else ever sees. Because what you fully live will always matter more than what you merely display. Many people think power looks loud. They think the strongest person in the room is the one getting attention, controlling the conversation, collecting admiration, and constantly being noticed. But there is another kind of power that most people miss. It is quiet, steady, and difficult to manipulate. Many empaths develop this power when they stop needing attention. Attention can feel rewarding. It gives quick emotional highs. It makes people feel visible, desired, important. But when someone depends on it, they become vulnerable. Their mood rises with praise and falls with silence. Their confidence grows when noticed and weakens when ignored. They may look strong on the outside, but inside their stability belongs to other people. The empath eventually sees this trap. Because empaths are sensitive, they often feel how exhausting approval seeking can become. They notice the anxiety behind needing responses. They notice the emptiness after temporary validation fades. They notice how many people shape themselves to stay liked, accepted, or relevant. And once they recognize that cycle, many begin stepping away from it. This is where quiet power begins. The moment you no longer need everyone to notice you, you become harder to control. Flattery loses its grip. Rejection loses its sting. Social games lose their influence. You stop bending yourself for reactions because reactions are no longer your source of identity. That kind of freedom changes a person. An empath who detaches from attention becomes calmer. They do not need to prove intelligence in every debate. They do not need to announce every success. They do not need to win every misunderstanding. They conserve energy because they are no longer feeding the endless hunger to be seen. And when a person becomes less reactive, they become stronger. Most people are controlled through emotional buttons. Praise them and they chase more. Ignore them and they panic. Criticize them and they unravel. But the empath who has built inner worth responds differently. They can receive praise without addiction. They can face silence without collapse. They can hear criticism without losing themselves. That emotional steadiness is rare. It also makes them mysterious to people who rely on surface dynamics. Some cannot understand a person who does not compete for attention. Some feel unsettled by someone who stays grounded without applause. Some mistake calmness for weakness until they realize calmness can be unshakable strength. Quiet power also creates clarity. When you are not obsessed with being seen, you see more clearly. You notice motives, you notice manipulation, you notice who values you privately and who only values you publicly. You stop confusing popularity with respect. You stop confusing noise with substance. The empath learns that peace is more valuable than visibility and self-respect is more valuable than attention. This does not mean they become cold or disconnected. They can still love deeply, care deeply, and connect sincerely. But they no longer need constant recognition to feel alive. Their worth is internal, not rented from the crowd, and that is why quiet people are often underestimated. Because the person chasing attention is busy proving power, while the person detached from attention is quietly becoming powerful. The strongest presence in the room is often the one that needs nothing from it.